Hi-ho, everyone, and welcome back to the adventures of Turwinkle, the Gnome Mage. Well, hi, Turwinkle.
Hello.
Are you all set for tonight?
Indubitably.
Well, great, because tonight we're going to be interviewing Lady Bree Fairfax of House Haethon. And as you can see, we are here at the Stormwind Keep, and we are going to the gardens. And we're going to have a nice talk with her. We've been looking forward to this all month long. And so without further ado, let us go and meet her and learn all about her wonderful RP. Alrighty, folks, and here Bree is. She is in the gardens here. A lovely little spot in the Stormwind Keep. There are some bones here. It looks like the Horde was here not too long ago. But hello, Bree.
Hello, Turwinkle. How are you today?
I am excellent. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us tonight and talking all about your character.
It's my absolute pleasure. Despite Brieanna's nobophobia, I think this is going to go well.
And folks, we'll get into that later in the interview and find out why she has a phobia of gnomes. But let's take a look here. We have Lady Brieanna Fairfax, advisor of House Haethon, or the steward of House Haethon, and she's a level 90 human warlock, and currently pristine, elegant, and put together, usually viewed as, and it kind of cuts off for us there, usually viewed as what?
Usually viewed as snobbish, and a spoiled young lady who is completely set in her ways, as any traditional warlock should be.
Well, of course. So, folks, when we come back, we'll take a look at that MRP, and we'll go into a little more depth of what is written there. And so, with that, and we are terrified of this Critho because he's been known to kill gnomes in the past. So, while you're afraid of gnomes, I'm afraid of that pug. So this should be interesting.
He only bites out your throat if you fear him. So you should be fine.
Great. Alrighty, folks, so we'll be right back with Brieanna's MRP. So we'll see you then. Alrighty, folks, and we are back. And as you can see here, we have a fantastic MRP written out here. And actually, you use total RP. And why do you choose total RP instead of MRP?
Because I can tell what she looks like, what she smells like, all those cool little details. And my friends were like, Brieanna, you better get total RP. And I'm like, okay, don't hurt me.
Okay. I know for a lot of folks, they like the TRP because there's a few more functionality keys with it as well. You're able to put your hood and cloak on without having to go all the way through the menu system to do that, and so a lot of people like it for those reasons as well. But let's see what you've got here. It says Lady Brieanna Fairfax, advisor of House Haethon. Eyes, is it Maya Blue?
Yes, Maya Blue.
Maya Blue. Race human, average height, and we covered you currently. And so if you would do us the great favor of reading us what you have written here in your description.
All right, let me get on my reading voice. That's very important.
Okay.
Brieanna Fairfax has always considered herself a pale comparison to the raving beauty of her mother, Duchess Bethany Fairfax. That is in no way stating that Brieanna thought herself malformed or ugly. It is simply that her mother has the vibrant attraction of a moth to a flame, and Bree is like her father. Her beauty is the subtle kiss of a rose petal. Her tresses golden instead of jet locks. Her skin is cream and burns under the slightest touch of the sun, while her mother seems to glow beneath its gentle caress, tanning gloriously, and never ever doing something as unbecoming as pilling under its loving gaze. Brieanna's best features are her gentle aristocratic lines, petite figure, I can't read obviously, petite figure, and warm Maya blue eyes. Her mother's are her hourglass shape, striking facial features, and exotic violet orbs, coupled with an ample bosom that drives Brieanna mad, since her own bosom has best been explained as existent. And while a slightly flat chest was nothing to be ashamed of, the fact remained that anything with a deep neckline or designed to showcase ample hips looked ridiculous on a girl that was best described as thin. So while her mother could carouse around in vibrant violet gowns with boisterous necklines and stunning trains, Brieanna's well aware that she is best suited for quiet pastels and pristine white practical dresses. Brieanna loves her mother. She just understands the irrefutable truth that she will never be her, a fact which lends her the freedom to be herself, to discover what it is to be a Fairfax on her own terms.
Wow, that is really a great description there. I love it. So, how long did that take you to write?
Truthfully, probably an hour.
Oh man, that is great. And
I was just like,
go ahead.
I I just decided that that was the feel I wanted for Brieanna Fairfax for her character.
Well, it like I said, it's very descriptive, and I love the way that you use it, kind of from her. Well, I want to say from her point of view, and folks, if you like this, let me tell you, Brie has a wonderful Tumblr page that really you can understand why this only took her an hour, because she has just such a wonderful writing style. So when we come back, we're going to talk, we're going to go through the rest of what you have written here. So we'll be right back with that. And we are back. Okay, so we're going to continue with this terrific MRP. And so we are at Style of Dress. So if you could read that for us, Brieanna's Style of Dress.
Certainly. Brieanna Fairfax could best be described as a cross between a gypsy and a pious lady of court. She often wears quiet, practical white dresses or dainty, daisy summer dresses, both made of the finest silks and thread, depending on her mood. However, that pious air is broken by the assortment of jewelry she wears, which are no less than at least 12 rings on both of her hands, assortment of precious bangles made out of gold and silver, several charm bracelets, and a motley, I don't know why I say mostly instead of motley, and a motley collection of earrings in each ear, from small hoops to precious stone studs. To make matters worse, along with the jewelry is a vibrant collection of ribbons tied to her wrists to go along with the jewelry, not simply because she likes the clash of colors. The gold, gems, and ribbons lend her boring gowns, but because every one of these items are invested with a curse she likes experimenting with.
Okay, so that leads us into the retrospect of the curses, which is next. So let's take a look at that, because I'm really interested in this part here.
Bree, though unbeknownst to the rest of the world, is a warlock. Her specialty is curses. Now curse work is a subtle art. Many of her curses start out small and then grow into a crescendo. Whether a curse lands or not is done through a roll of 1 to 100. If you wish to rebound the curse to Bree, then you as a player have the option to do a karma rolls. Bree will roll 1 to 3, a total of 3 times. If you match each roll in descending order, then you have the opportunity to rebound the curse back to Bree threefold.
Now that's interesting. So how did you come up with that?
Well, I wanted to think about a fun way in which to do curses. I want people to have an opportunity to play a role in their fate. Because curse work traditionally is something that can be done through bloodlines or it doesn't really need magic. So my theory is that if it's a matter of will, as much warlocks artistry is, then wouldn't it be Brianna's will against someone else? And if they had a strong enough will, couldn't they give it back to her?
That's a great. I love it. And so, folks, uh, if you like that way that she does that, I would certainly suggest giving that a shot. I think it's a neat system that you've come up with there. So wonderful. So when we come back, we're going to find out where a little bit about Brie's history and some more information about Brie. So, folks, we'll be right back with that. Alrighty, folks, and we are back. And so, Brie, how did you come up with the name Brieanna Fairfax? Did you get that out of a book, a movie? How did you come about that?
I would say it was more inspired by books. I like Jane Austen and I like fantasy novels, so Brieanna Fairfax sounded very romantic to me. And I wanted Brieanna to have that sort of a romantic feeling to her name to clash with the darker tones of my storytelling, which is surrounded by her family.
Oh, wonderful. And so, how long have you been playing Brie?
Probably for a couple of months now. Yeah, like sometime. It's hard for me to remember. I'm not like other RPers that have years and years behind their characters. I'm someone that likes the creation process, I guess, too much.
Okay. So, you have quite a few alts then.
I have a couple. But I hate leveling, so it's not that many.
Okay. Well, you if you've only had Brie for a couple months, she's already level 90, which is wonderful.
Is I kind of cheated because, I helped a friend and then I got a free level 85 and I was like, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I know for myself, as an RPer, it does take you a little longer to level because you get involved in your RP, and that does slow the questing and the dungeoning down quite a bit. So um, I see where you're coming from there as well. So, folks, when we come
Plus, I'm
back,
a raider on top of that.
oh, okay, so you raid as well here on
Yes.
Warm Rest Accord or on another server?
Moonguard.
Oh, okay, wonderful. And how long have you been raiding?
Since vanilla. I actually did PVE before I got into RP. It's kind of I slowly transitioned into an RPer and then I was lost forever.
Okay, well, folks, we will get back into that further on in the interview. So when we come back, we'll get to learn a little bit about Brie's history. So we'll be right back with that. Alrighty, and we are back. And let us cover a little bit about Brie's history. So, Brie, where were you born? Where was Brie born?
Brieanna Fairfax and my history is probably not as well developed as some role players out there, I admit it. Brieanna Fairfax, I believe, was born in Lordaeron. Her family are established diplomats. They serve in a diplomatic capacity here at the Stormwind Court, and I I view them. They're Duchess and Duke, so it's Duchess Bethany Fairfax and Duke Everston Fairfax, both very much alive and meddlesome in Brianna's
Wait,
life.
hold
I
it,
thought
hold it.
that would be a fun.
Hold on, your parents are still alive?
I know, shocking, isn't it? I mean, we would think Brianna would have offed them a long time ago.
Well, the reason why, and we talked about this a little bit, but for me, uh, I don't find it amusing so much as it's interesting that a lot of people, it seems pretty much I think every interview that I've done up to this point, the characters' parents have died in some tragic event, and so it's great that your parents are happy and alive and doing well. I love that originality, actually.
With Everston, he's even opened up trade with the Pandarians, and their coffers are fat and happy like all Pandarians.
Now, do you RP as your parents at all? Do you have alts that are your parents, or do you have someone else that RPs them?
Well, I write stories about them on my Tumblr to give the feeling of the Fairfaxes. So I'll write from the perspective of Everston or Bethany, depending on what mood I want to set for the storytelling. And I do have an alt for Everston, and actually a guild called the House of Fairfax for storytelling purposes.
Well, that's great. Any maybe future plans for Bethany?
Oh, I have so many plans, so many plans. But I can't tell it yet, dear audience. I don't want to ruin it for the House of Haethon.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Great. So she was born here in Stormwind and had a good childhood, bad childhood.
She was born in Lordaeron, but she was mainly raised in Stormwind, and she had a really good childhood. And she's one of those spoiled, rotten kids that got everything her little heart desired because her father loved spoiling her, like as any good father does.
Well, sure. And so, how old is Brianna?
Brieanna is 19 years old,
Okay,
which I have a lot of fun with because I can write the teenage sort of angsty thing, but have an adult tone to it because she's growing up, right?
sure. Well, that's great. So, folks, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about her current storyline, what Brianna's doing, and talk a little bit about Bree's RP style. So, we'll be right back with that. Alrighty, and we're back, and Crithro is still running around, threatening Turwinkle. He runs by, growls at me, and so we're back with Bree. And so, Bree, what is Brianna doing at the moment? What's her current storyline?
Brieanna Fairfax right now is learning her way as an independent woman out under the thumb of her controlling mama, and happy-go-lucky Papa, I suppose, though he's more of a sterner role model. She's actually the advisor to the Haethons right now.
Well, wonderful. And so, how are you enjoying House Haethon? Are you enjoying that guild?
I do. I like the dynamics between Brieanna and the House Haethon. They're more accepting of everyone, while Brianna's sort of stiff upper lip nobility. So for her, in her eyes, half the populace of Haethon are ruffians or brigands out to steal her jewelry.
Especially that Jason Corlo guy. He's a shady one. Yeah.
Especially that Jason Corlo. She was actually given permission to teach him manners for a while because it turned out he wanted to strangle one of his lovers. Brienne's like, a knight does not act like this.
Good Lord, I don't know if there's enough. Well, I imagine you could go to the caverns of time and try to teach him there, but it would take a few millennium, I would think.
Well, Brianna has her unorthodox ways, such as making him do push-ups and talk about how much he's a womanizer, which with each push-up.
well, well, wonderful. So, so explain your RP style. Are you a heavy, medium, light? Do you multi-paragraph your RP? What's your style?
I'm a storyteller, so I get out those paragraphs, I'm telling you. And I spend my time sometimes writing them so I can get the wording what I believe that Brianna would say. And she's the kind of character that definitely has her opinion. And a lot of people are intimidated by that sort of character, so they think that she's a little bit of a babe in total control of her life, if you know what I mean.
Sure. So, are you a pretty fast typer then?
Not always. I mean, I think I'm slower than most people, unfortunately, sadly. So if you want to role play with me, you got to have your patience cap on, I must say.
Okay. I was just going to ask, does that sometimes do you find yourself falling behind in certain conversations, or do you people know when they're going to come to RP with you that it's going to take a little bit longer than say someone that's just going yes, no, and so forth?
Yeah, they kind of get that from my description, the way I set out the scene. Sometimes it's a little bit daunting when I'm in large crowds and everyone's putting out one lines or one answers and things like that. So sometimes I sit back and I go, okay, Brianna's just listening.
All right. Well, excellent. So, folks, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the player behind Brianna. So, we'll be right back with that. And we are back. And so, one of the things that we like to do is find out about the person behind the screen, the person running the character. And so, Brie, what can you tell us about you? What do you like to do in real life?
My name's Bob. I like to fix things.
Okay.
All right, of course I lie. I'm actually a supervisor for a call center, and I like to write in my spare time. So I enjoy writing. That's my passion, and I enjoy reading. I'm a big bookaholic, huge bookaholic. If there isn't a book in my hand, then I'm probably dead, and you should call someone.
Okay. And what are you currently reading?
I've been into Jennifer Fallon, uh, Jane Austen. I already mentioned. My tastes vary. I like fantasy, or else I wouldn't be playing WoW for several years.
Okay. And what got you into playing WoW?
Of actually a coworker, they were like, you know what? There's this game online. You should try it out. And I'm like, I don't play games online. What are you talking about? So I started playing WoW, and then I got into raiding, and I was like, cool. I can shoot things with my lasers. This is awesome.
Okay. And
By lasers, I mean mage.
sure. And so, what then took you from raiding to RPing?
I saw some RPers RPing, so I thought, oh, okay, I'll try this out. This seems cool. I like to write. Let's do this. Plus, I used to do drama and improv when I was younger, so that back in the day when there was snow up to my chin. Make myself sound so old. Um, so it seemed like a combination of improv and writing, which was cool to me.
And so, have you found that your ability to write well has helped you with your RPing, or have you found that the RPing has helped you with your writing?
It's probably both playing off of the others. And I'm glad that you think I write well.
Well, I think anybody who went through your MRP with you, or anyone that takes a look at your Tumblr page, which, folks, we will have in the description of the episode here. And if you want to tell the folks what your Tumblr page address is.
Brieanna Fairfax at tumblr.com. It's Brieanna and then a dash Fairfax.
Alrighty, folks. And again, that'll be in the description of this episode right here below. And so, anyone that reads your Tumblr or reads your MRP here will know. They don't need me to tell them that you write well. They can see that for themselves.
And this is why I like you, Turwinkle. You give my ego such a good boost.
Well, as you can see, folks, she is also very modest. But So do you RP in any other games, or do you play any other games?
No, I don't have time. Between my work schedule, I barely have time for WoW, I'll be honest.
Right, and do you find that the time that you do spend, I know like tonight we had to wait a little longer for your rating, and so do you put more time into the rating than you do your RP?
Of a lot of times, if it's a beginning of expansion, of course, the majority of my time would go to raiding, just simply because you have to gear up your character. So, since I have a primary raider character, I have to gear her up first, and then I can look at the RP.
Well, excellent. So, folks, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about how it was for Bree to get into RPing, what difficulties she faced, and how easy or how hard it was for her to transition from raiding to RPing. So we'll be right back with that. And we are back, folks. And again, Critho threatening to eat Turwinkle. So, Brieanna, what did you find any difficulties when learning how to roleplay in WoW?
At the beginning, a bit. At the beginning of it, primarily, oddly enough, because I was a raider. People would look at my gear and be like, what you doing RPing? Like, because I just want to hang out and be cool, yo. Let me back down these lines.
And so, did you just start by yourself, just walking up and RPing, or were you in a guild that RP'd?
I was in a raiding guild, so I wasn't in a guild that RP'd. I just sort of decided to join in one day. I saw people some RPing, and I decided to write a couple of lines, got some encouragement, and that's how it went. That's how the tale began.
So basically, you just kind of took it upon yourself, built up a little bit of courage, and just went out there and just started RPing.
Yeah, I mean that's what it takes, just to go out there and just be brave enough to approach people and tell your story. Because that's what role playing is all about. It's about telling a story from the perspective of your character and giving a character a unique voice in in the game.
Okay, and so what other advice would you give to someone that, say, is looking at this episode and going, boy, that sounds like a lot of fun, IRP or IPVE, but I've always also wanted to RP. So what other advice would you give them?
Be brave. Get out there and just write. And it's okay to learn. It's okay to make mistakes. I mean, when I write, I make so many spelling and grammatical mistakes. I wish there was a word processor in WoW. And allow yourself to make mistakes as well. And also learn to differentiate. You're telling a story. It's not the end all be all if no one else wants to go along with it.
Now, how important do you think guilds are, RP guilds are, in helping someone to RP?
I think that guilds provide a structure. It's not the be all end all. It's just sometimes it's easier to RP within a guild because you're with like minded people.
Well, sure, excellent. And a question I always like to ask is, how is Bree like you? How are you like Bree?
Oddly enough, Brianna is not like me.
Is there any aspect of Bree
I
would someone would say, hey, that is like you?
don't know. That's a hard thing because I'm certainly not as pristine and elegant as her. I can tell you. Maybe her candidness, I guess, and her belief in what's right is right might reflect a little bit with me.
Okay, so do you
I'd like to think
go ahead?
That's what I'd like to think. I don't know for sure.
Okay, and so do you find that that makes RPing more fun for you to kind of put out a different persona per se?
Yeah, I like writing a character as the character is. I'm like unique. When I look at a character or I look at a story, I say, who is this person? What do they like? What is their perspective of the world? And then I write through that perspective. It's the ability to immerse yourself into, I guess, someone else's life for a while, as all books are.
Sure. Well, excellent. So, folks, when we come back, we're going to give some final thoughts on Brieanna Fairfax, Lady Brieanna Fairfax. And so we'll be right back with that. All righty. And we are back. And so, Bree, what would you like people to know about Brieanna that maybe we haven't covered here in the interview tonight?
She's a ninja assassin. I wanted to put that out there.
That is supposed to be secret, ma'am. You don't share that with people.
Right, right. I keep on forgetting that bit about the ninja
Yeah.
assassin. I guess with Brianna, when I started the character concept, I wanted to make a true to form noble character. So I wanted her to be very much like a young noble lady of Stormwind and her perspectives. I wanted her to be somewhat flighty and somewhat comical at time, but serious when she had to be. And I casted her because I love soap operas, so I casted her against this sort of dark family with the Fairfaxes with their rich history was my concept of coming from a very long and noble line of nobility. And I don't know whether that's tripe or it's cliche, but that's what I wanted to do with her in terms of having a character concept. The young, naive daughter of a strong and somewhat dark family.
Well, excellent. And again, I think from my RPing with you, I think that comes across very well. And I think you do a fantastic job with her RP. And so, folks, when we come back, we are going to give our final farewells to Bree and allow Turwinkle to get back to the hinterlands. So we will be right back with that. And we are back. And so, Bree, again, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us tonight. And we do have one final question I think everybody would like to know. What is Bree's phobia with gnomes? Why does she have a phobia of gnomes?
One of her governants, when she was younger, told her if she didn't behave, a gnome would come by and bite off her kneecaps.
Oh, okay. Well, I will have you know that is a horrible story. Turwinkle's highly offended.
See, but doesn't Turwinkle like to gnaw on a little bit of kneecaps every once in a while?
He does not. That is a filthy lie, ma'am. Turwinkle is a respectable
That's funny
gnome.
because I thought I saw.
I will not be slandered here on my own show, ma'am.
All right, if you insist.
But no, in all seriousness, it has been a wonderful interview, and we sure have enjoyed getting to know a little bit about Bree and getting to know a little bit about you as well.
And I enjoyed it. I'm supposed to mention Jade and M at some point. See, Jade and M, I totally mentioned you. You have to give me hugs now.
Well, great. So, folks, we will see you all back in the hinterlands where Turwinkle will give his final thoughts on this great episode with Brieanna, Lady Brieanna Fairfax. So we'll be right back with that. All right, folks, we made it safe and sound back to the hinterlands. And boy, Turwinkle, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Indubitably.
You bet. So let's give Brieanna a nice thank you for spending all that time with us tonight.
Allow me to express my deepest thanks.
Really, and again, Brieanna has a wonderful sense of RP, and so folks, if you like this episode, click that like button. If you would like to comment on Brieanna's RP or on any of our previous episodes, please do so below. Let us know what you liked and let us know what you didn't. And finally, if you'd like to subscribe, well, we would love to have you, so hit that subscription button today. Well, great job as always, Turwinkle. And sir, we will see you next time.
I'll miss you.
We'll miss you too, Turwinkle. Bye-bye.